A lot of people are asking today, what's going to happen in the market? Are we having a bubble? Are we heading in? What impact will a recession have? Will prices crash? Will interest rates come down? Will they go up? What's the impact? Should I buy or should I sell? Is it a good time? We're going to answer those questions using data, not drama. If you watch the TV shows, they specialize in drama. I'm just going to show you some data points, and I hope this will take care of a few of the anxieties that you might have. So let me share my screen here. All right, are we in a crash, a bubble, recession, or inflation? This is simply a supply and demand question, guys. Nothing more, nothing less. There are more people than there are houses. It's just like if I'm selling oranges and there's 20 people that want oranges, but only one orange, I'm going to get a lot when I start auctioning that orange off. It's kind of what's going on right now. There's just more people than there are houses. It's really that simple. So, but there are some other factors, and let's go through them real quick. Look at the growth in population. We've had a 22.7 million people growth in the last 10 years. That's just huge. From 308 to 331. So there's a lot more people. But if we look at the inventory in houses, and we start in 2014 and come to 2022. This is year on year. So from this year to this year, it was still a growth in housing or inventory levels of houses, but it was less growth, right? And so this is all positive growth, and this is all negative growth. Positive growth, and now look what's happened since about 2019 at the end of the year. Every year we've had negative, we've had actual decreases in inventory, And so over this period of time, we've had a net decrease in inventory. We've had a net increase in people, a supply and demand issue. And just bring it down to Collin County, right? We've had an increase of 327,000 people, or 89.6 people per day, and over the last 10 years. But just in the last 3 years, there's been a 64% reduction in the number of homes sold, just in 3 years. That's crazy. So we're seeing a lot more people, a lot less homes. It's that simple. Now let's look at some other mitigating factors. It's not just Texas. The whole country has an average of 17 days on market. When a house goes on the market, it's under contract. That's pretty lickety split compared to, gosh, I remember a lot longer days, 60, 70, 80, 90 days. The average number of offers nationally is 5.5. And you can see Texas is in the highest portion of offers. Ask anybody who's selling their home, they've probably had multiple offers most of the time. Is it a recession, right? Well, here are a recession doesn't equal a housing crisis. Here are the housing price changes during the last 6 recessions. And you can go across the board and you can see for 5 out of the 6 last true recessions in the United States, the price of housing either stayed virtually material the same, right? There was no material difference. Here we had a little under 2% decrease in price, but every other time it's 3.5 to 6.5%. The only time we had a material or significant decrease in housing prices was in that 2008 thing, when a whole different situation, guys, whole different situation. So in general, our economics are much different this time around. People say, are interest rates out of control? Not really. If this is every decade represented with the average interest rate, right? The 2010s average 4.09, that's pretty low. The last couple of years have just been unnatural, out of weird. There just shouldn't have been here. So we don't have our 2020s yet average for these 10 years, but you can see today at 6.25, at 6.125 rather, at 6.125, that's lower than 4 out of the 5 previous decades, right? We're not even getting close to these decades back in here. So yes, the interest rates have gone up, but no, they're not out of control. So prices, are they going to crash? Probably not. Here's, we went through a number of different experts from Fannie, Freddie, CoreLogic, HPES, NAR, Zelman, and the Mortgage Bankers Association. This is all our forecast for 2022, and it averages to 9%. Here are the forecasts coming out into the out years? It's because there's more people than there are houses. It's really simple. We're not going to catch up in the housing anytime soon. So appreciation means that pricing has gone from a baseline up. Depreciation means it's gone from a baseline down. We're in a deceleration. It's like we're going 100 miles an hour, and we've just gone down to now 80 and possibly 60 miles an hour. You still wouldn't jump out of the car, right? And that's a deceleration. Depreciation would be like stopping the car to 0 miles an hour and putting it in reverse and going backwards. We're nowhere near that point. So prices are not going down anytime soon. People say, oh no, we're going to have a lot of foreclosures because interest rates went up and affordability and da-da-da. Not really. The average equity in people's houses today is 50 to 120,000. That's average, right? A lot of people have a lot more equity in their house. Now look here, again, 2012, coming out of that 2008 debacle, lots of distressed homes. We're working them off. Look at this. There's no distressed homes, relatively speaking, anymore, because if you get behind on your mortgage payment, you probably have had this crazy 25, 30, 35% appreciation for 2 or 3 years. Just sell your house and put about 100 grand in your pocket and you're good. There's no need for foreclosure in the vast majority of cases. And we underscored that with foreclosure activity is now at an all-time low. And we also look at lending standards. Back in 2003 to 2007, they were just giving away money if you could fog a mirror. Lending standards are much tighter. So we have this different dynamics. And again, a supply versus a demand versus a supply. So where are we going with all this, right? Lots of equity. Well, what's happening now is we are getting, the buyer crowd is beginning to shrink because affordability is kind of, the mark on affordability is moving away from some entry-level buyers. And why? Well, it's the combination of interest rates went up. For every 1% increase, you can afford about $40,000 less, unless if your income doesn't change. Interest rates have gone up 2 points, right? On top of that, we've had this crazy appreciation in our market because there's such high demand. You add to that inflation. People are spending $500, $600, $700, $800 more on bread and gas and the basics. And so if you're on this income that's not keeping up with all that, yes, it is going to get away from you. And if it's still within your reach right now, and you're still sitting on the fence going, I'm going to wait, you may want to rethink that. You may not want to wait. You may want to jump in and get it now, because if whatever you're paying, if it's rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage, right? You're going to be paying a mortgage. You might as well have it be yours if you can do it now, because our appreciation, as you've seen, will still continue to go up. It's just decelerating, but it's going up. So give it a little bit of time. And if you have to pay a premium for a house now, it's going to catch up pretty quick. Sellers, it's a great time to sell, right? As we have appreciation will continue to go, but not as quick a pace, right? But we have a lot of demand, but as affordability kind of gets away from the entry level folks, it may be less competition. There's still going to be a lot of competition, but again, a deceleration of competition. So selling now, you're catching into this tail end of the craziness of the last 2 years, but I tell you what, it's still a great time to buy a house or to sell a house. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to give us a call. And I hope this was very, very helpful.